Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring MrHase, our red Zerg in the bottom left-hand side, Diamond or Masters, one or the other. I'm not 100% sure. It's EU ladder, and the replay that I got from Forsaken NXE didn't come with a link for me to actually look him up. I know that Forsaken is usually Masters. I think he's currently in Diamond on the EU server, so it's going to be a high-level play. It's going to be a fantastic play. Terran versus Zerg is always my favorite, and I don't think I've cast one on the research station before, so I figured there would be a great opportunity just to highlight the special interests on this map. You do have a low kind of medium-sized choke leading off into a very, very wide and exposed kind of natural. I don't know. This is more than natural. We have this kind of theme in the latest maps where we have a secluded natural way off in the corner to the bottom right. I don't know. It doesn't offer you a lot of aggressive potential, but the third is so very, very exposed. That's kind of the trade-off. They're making the thirds more exposed than they used to be, and now the naturals are significantly more well defended. You basically have to go through the main in order to actually do any damage at all to the natural. So I mean, beyond that, every other expansion on this map is incredibly exposed. Just you don't even bother taking any other ones until you have massive map control, and there's so many different avenues for you to attack your opponent. I mean, there's three basically unconnected pathways. You do have this really nice watchtower kind of overseeing the right side of the map, which is definitely wider than the third pathway over here. I call it two different pathways just because, you know, this one over here on the right and this one over here on the left, you can actually choose to take one or the other, even though there's nothing actually separating them. I don't know, the engagements definitely divvy up the map into three separate pathways, and so if you, even though your guys are both coming down this middle section, this one to the right, if you choose the far right one or you choose the far left one, it can definitely, you can have two ships passing in the night, especially if neither decides to take the watchtower, and I know that's kind of far-fetched, but still, it's very cool. It's a very clever math. I like asymmetrical maps where it's, you know, top and bottom, but left and right is different. So we see from Forsaken, I'm not 100% sure when he grabbed that gas, but he does have the Reaper coming out first, so it was probably just a couple seconds after he made that first barracks, beginning to stockpile that gas. We'll have to take a sharp eye on that. We don't see that second geyser being tapped very, very early, and we see the hatch first coming out. We see the spawning pool finishing just a couple seconds before that, probably 15-15 from MrHase. Will he be thinking of taking another expansion? He is stockpiling those minerals. It could be an early third. With the gas, just no geysers. That's basically what I'm looking for from Hayes. Like I said, this map is very large and very wide open. You have to take extra precautions to defend against your home. I guess that's what he was spending his money on, was two queens coming out right now. Going to be very handy in dealing with that Reaper. But again, no gas has been tapped yet, so MrHase is probably just, you know, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, making sure that this Reaper doesn't do too much damage before he does take that third, because again, no geysers. CC coming down from Forsaken. He likes what he sees. He didn't see any geyser. He didn't see any Baneling nest back at home. So Forsaken's feeling good. He's getting down that factory. Will be going for a starport early on. Is throwing down a reactor, so maybe some Hellions. Not a bad choice at all. Really, two queens can block off this natural pathway into the main fairly easily. However, Hellions can afford you a lot of map control, and like I said, map control is majorly important on this map. Queen's not going to have a problem dealing with these Reapers. What avenues do those Reapers have into the base? Really good over here. Really nothing to speak of over in the natural, which is a shame, but you can pop up over here, which is rarely guarded. Rarely you have a unit over here. Obviously, a good Zerg will probably have an Overlord positioned here, as well as to the north of his natural, just to deal with the inevitable drop coming out from the Terran. Tech Lab coming down on the barracks. We do see those Hellions coming out from the factory. I honestly didn't know if they were Hellions or not. They could have been Widow Mines. I didn't even bother looking up at the production tab. They're definitely Hellions coming out of that factory, though, so that's absolutely fantastic. Another CC coming out, probably not thinking about taking the third just yet. Going to make that into an orbital, going to sit back and relax until he gets a more advantageous position as far as tech goes. No gas in the natural, just one gas in the main. Got the metabolic boost coming up. I was definitely wrong with going for that earlier third. Here we are almost at the 6:30 mark, and just now the queens are moving down. We do see that hatchery coming down, but really MrHase, he spent a lot of time on everything else. He got that metabolic boost up. He's got several extra queens. I think he's up to 3 right now. 4 queens. Wow, 4 queens is going to have no problem pushing out that creep. These 2 queens are being incredibly ballsy. One of them with 98 health. It does look like one of them has enough for a transfuse, or both of them have enough for transfuse. Yeah, they both have enough for transfuse right now. And so those queens are going to stay alive. The other 2 actually moving in to support them. So that is a good play by MrHase, just knowing exactly how aggressive he can be against Forsaken. But he was being very aggressive, just because if Forsaken had all of his Hellions down at the same time attacking those queens, he definitely would have lost one. And that can be a major stunting activity, just because MrHase, he needs to have all this creep spread. Having that spine crawler down there, being very aggressive with its forwarding positioning for his defensive units, is going to help him lock down this natural. But look at that, good reflexes from MrHase, locking down this this ramp. Unfortunately, a little bit mispositioning this queen, allowing one of the Hellions to move forward. Ultimately does lose a queen, but that is a small price to pay for getting his 3rd down. And when this spine crawler finishes, everything here from Forsaken is going to have to retreat immediately. At the same time, we had just some Zerglings poking up the front door. Maybe they saw the orbital command, maybe they didn't. Totally, it doesn't really matter. We don't see a starport just yet from Forsaken, but that I can tell that that's basically what he's pathing towards. He's got that stim almost done. 1-1 has been started. We're looking at that nice 11-minute timing attack where the 1-1, the combat shields, the stim is done. You get those starports out there. A lot of gas being taken right now. So Forsaken is definitely teching towards that doom drop where you bring in 1 or 2 medevacs just filled with Marines, and you absolutely shred one of the drone lines for MrHase. And that's one of the worst things about this, having to expand horizontally like this. The Terran has endless potential from dropping from the north, dropping from the north, dropping from the north. He can really come in and just punish the Zerg, whereas if, say, this base was a little bit easier to take, like maybe this place was connected or something like that, it would be great, because you have a base here, you have a base here, that's where you have to focus your defenses. This guy right here is going to be well defended just naturally by geography. Unfortunately, MrHase is really going to have to spread himself very thin just to sink. Oh, and he knows it. Look at this, static defenses, fantastic. I really like this guy, MrHase. He's clever. Starport done, reactor right next to it. Going to see medevacs coming out 2 at a time. Look at this massive Terran army. And Forsaken did a really good job keeping his Hellions alive. That's going to afford him a lot of just being very comfortable. You can see that he's taking that orbital. He knows that if there's like a massive swell of Zerglings, and we do see a couple of Zerglings out on the field right now. What is it, 20 Zerglings, a lot of Banelings. Those Hellions are going to afford a lot of crowd control for Forsaken. And this creep spread is actually top drawer for MrHase. So I was told that this is like a diamond level play, but this is great. I really like seeing this really well-oiled machine from both guys really cranking out the build orders. 1-1 going to be finishing right on time with combat shield. Oh, right at that 11-minute mark. Where are the medevacs? I know that they're out on the field. Okay, just now finishing, but this is going to be a great drop. And look at that, Forsaken using the boost just to load up his units right now, and this is absolutely going to be devastating. Maybe not devastating. The 4th is being taken for MrHase. He does have a lot of Zerglings and Banelings out there. Centrifugal hook almost done. More importantly, the +1 ground attack is really going to help him kind of counteract the added durability of those combat shields. Overseer being started. Maybe he's afraid of Banshees. I don't know. What has he seen in his opponent's base? Not much. Not much at all. Yeah. Okay, so he did scout out that CC, but he knows that the 3rd is being taken by now. Here comes the push in from Forsaken, making those Hellbats. Oh, no. Okay, good. Where am I missing units? Because I saw a lot of Zerglings before, I saw a lot of Marines before, and I don't see as many Marines anymore. But no, here comes the push. I thought maybe I missed a Baneling hit or two, but I don't think I did, because this is definitely the main attack. This is to be expected, though. I mean, Forsaken was just coming in just to poke it around. Definitely not the best engagement of his life. Definitely very favorable for MrHase. We can see that 17/8 is really not telling you the whole story. More importantly, that 4th is still standing, and MrHase locked down the potential for the drop. And look at this, man. He is so clever. Like I was saying, this base is incredibly exposed, more so because the lair is being built here. But with these added bind crawlers, the spore crawlers in this position, this is just going to do nothing but rebuff the Terran drop potential. Fantastic play from MrHase. And unfortunately, Forsaken's going to have to fall back, and he's got to think, how do I engage this? I can't do the drops that I'm supposed to be doing right now. Do I just want to buffer them down? And this is a great tech switch. You have those Widow Mines coming out. fantastic AoE, mobile AoE, that can really just decimate the Banelings and the Zerglings. And so if we see some clever positioning from Forsaken, we can definitely see this engagement going in his favor. Look at all these queens pooping out all of this creep. This is incredibly important, not just for MrHase to get good creep spread, but also for Forsaken to actually deal with that creep spread. He can't take a good engagement when he's too deep onto the creep, and he knows that. There goes the scan, revealing some Banelings down on the south side. Forsaken only moving in with a bite-sized chunk of his army. Already got the pre-spread back at home. Oh no, the Marines moving way too far forward. Really nice Baneling hits, and by Banelings I mean Widowmines hits, but oh, another great play from MrHase, holding a couple of Banelings in reserve. So even though we're seeing some fantastic splits from Forsaken, he's really not succeeding in getting into the opponent's base, not doing any economic damage at all. 72 over 93 harvesters right now. That fourth base is fully saturated. We don't see any gas being taken just yet, but what is he spending gas on? Where's the Spire? You know, the upgrades are 2-2 right now, almost finishing. A lot of Zerglings, a lot of Banelings. Hive is coming up. Just with the ground upgrades, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ultralisks coming out on the field very, very shortly. We have the Infestor Pit, but we don't see any Infestors out on the field. Just Zerglings, just Banelings. Really, this is such a weird style. Normally you'd see a Spire by now. Normally you'd see a lot of Mutalisks coming out and harassing, counter-harassing Forsaken. But instead, MrHase is committing incredibly so onto this ground, you know, attack path, and we had the Burrow coming out, maybe so Burrow Banelings, I don't know. Even Forsaken is expecting the Mutalisks coming out because he's getting out that Thor. Really not very useful against the Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, and Widowmines. Thors are terrible against Marines, that's true. No, but Thors are terrible against anything on the ground, basically. Banelings and Zerglings currently. But they're incredibly helpful against those Mutalisks. So Forsaken is expecting that Mutalisk switch, and he's not going to get it. Ultralisk Cavern on the production tab right now. Called it. Fantastic. 3-3 on the way, so Terran is just going to get even more intimidating. And remember, we only have 2-2 for Zerg, and that has not currently started. So, you know, he's going to fall behind a little bit. Speaking of falling behind, 3 bases against 4 bases, definitely favoring the Zerg just for now. And this War Machine from Forsaken, I mean, look how fast he remaxes. It's 197, basically 200 against 164. Adrenal Gland upgrades, 3-3 just now being started. Still, I haven't seen any drops from Forsaken, which is very surprising, just because he still would have tried, even though you get the scan, maybe come in on the main or something like that. Regardless, Forsaken is trying to do this brute force thing, which really isn't working out for him. But hopefully now that he's at 200 supply, the max versus max, plus with a 3-3 finishing in just a couple of seconds, definitely is going to favor Terran. Just with Zerglings, just with Banelings, that's really not going to cut it. Did he switch up his unit composition at all? No, we see a lot of Marines still, a lot of Widowmines, no Marauders at all, and that's really going to bite him in the butt because we have 6 Ultralisks on the production tab right now, and Ultralisks is definitely what you, Marauders is definitely what you need to deal with those Ultralisks. We do have a handful of Tech Labs being produced right now. He's going to be able to get 4 Marauders at a time, and with the 3-3 finishing, he will be able to rebuff this eventually, but I don't see a lot of help happening for all these Marines. Look at this engagement. This is going to be brutal. Even without the creep spread right here, the Forsaken's in a lot of trouble if he thinks that he can take this engagement cost effectively with these Ultralisks, these Zerglings, these Banelings. With these upgrades, this is not going to be good. Adrenal Gland upgrades, just a couple of seconds. A drop splits off from the main group, splitting off to the right. Widowmine hits galore, but my goodness, a lot of them go off on the Ultralisks, and oh, Forsaken is in just a dead retreat. Still keeping the majority of his units alive because he's off of creep. The Ultralisks just can't close. That stutter step micro paying off major dividends. But what is this? The Ultralisks have found their way up to the north. The single Thor against two Ultralisks, probably not the best, most cost-effective engagement in the world. Speaking of cost-effective, these static defenses just paying off such massive dividends. That drop just goes down into shreds. But Forsaken has managed to stutter step his way around the Ultralisks, managing to do some decent damage to the hatchery, but the majority of his Widowmines, his Medivacs, have to retreat. At the same time, that Thor did go down, and the Ultralisks managed to clean up completely the 4th, forcing the lift off there. However, I don't think a lot of economic damage was done. So, yeah, workers killed 6 for 6. Really not a lot. But we look over at the resources lost. Even though he's on 4 base economy, this is starting to hurt him a lot. MrHase is losing a lot of minerals. Forsaken is being a lot more cost effective than I was giving him credit. Definitely. And with this 4th surviving. I mean, he's making it into a planetary fortress right now, even though it's at about 2/4 health. He kept it alive. He's going to be able to drop down a lot of mules there, and he's going to be able to rapidly outmine that area. We see the Spires done corruptors on the production tab. Pathogen glands coming out too, as MrHase begins to embrace the fact that he can produce more than just Zerglings and Banelings, taking his 5th over yonder, actually kind of ignoring the gold expand here, but Forsaken's not. He's got a nice scan down there, even being so ballsy as to expand a CC down on the gold base. That is short-lived, and oh, a nice cancel from Forsaken. Good reflexes there, saving the 300 minerals, getting that money back. These Ultralisks are just absolutely terrifying. Has he gotten? He did the +5. Oh, so much armor on those Ultralisks. That is terrifying. Oh my goodness. The creep spread. I can't tell you how important it is that Forsaken has kept the creep spread in check, because if these Ultralisks were on creep, this game would be absolutely over. Look at all those detonations. Holy crap. These Ultralisks are so incredibly durable to the stutter step fire from all the Marines, but now that the Marauders are being added into the mix, now that Forsaken knows what unit composition he has to be up against, he's going to be incredibly cost effective. And yeah, look at that. The gap is beginning to grow. We were only at 2K apart, now we're at 3K apart, and that's just going to get more and more in the favor of Forsaken, as he's in so ballsy. Got to stay off of that creep. You cannot engage on the creep, but you can afford to dart in and absolutely ravage the hatchery in that area. A little cute little Zergling run by on the north side, but ooh, my goodness, the ball of death that represents these Marines and Marauders. It's just too powerful. MrHase cannot engage them. What's his bank look like? A bank is absolutely massive on the mineral side, pretty much non-existent on the gas. And why is that? His main is still mining. His natural is still mining. His main is still mining. So he still has the gas income. He's just spending so much of it on Baneling, so much of it on those gas-intensive units such as these Infestors, and we really haven't seen the Infestors do anything at all. We do see the whiff of the fungal growth off to the north side, but Forsaken's not giving him an opportunity. Oh, really nice fungal growth this time. Wow, look at that. And that's the opportunity that the Ultralisks needed. All of a sudden, the supply 100% right on top of each other, 150 over 160, and MrHase has all of a sudden equalized this game. However, Forsaken is succeeding in keeping up his 4th, and that 4th is fully saturated. Even the gas, only 2 on gas here. How embarrassing. But it looks like this CC is going to get denied one more time. 2 more Ultralisks on the production tab, but I don't think MrHase can keep this up. I expect to see him begin to add in more and more Zerglings as the realization sinks in that he cannot keep up this gas-intensive unit composition for much longer. Has to be careful if these. One of the Infestors do go down. Little death squad of Marauders. But plenty of Zerglings out on the field to actually clean them up. Handful of Corruptors too. I wonder why he invested in that. Could have been a misclick. Could have been just to kind of shut down the drop potential coming from Forsaken. 2 Ultralisks just kind of hanging out. Did they kill something? Yeah, they did. Probably a single Marine trying to deny this base. That base is actually super important. Both of these bases are super important. The gas income cannot be discounted. MrHase has to keep his gas economy up and running. We even see the Terran vehicle plating. Why? Are you getting the Thors out, or is he thinking about switching up to like battle cruisers or something like that? Not 100% sure. The infrastructure is definitely in place for the Marine and Marauder composition. Not so much anything else, but probably just getting the upgrades because why not? I mean, he's got 2K and 2K or 2K and 3K in the bank, and everybody's maxed out in supply right now. So MrHase is just waiting for his creep spread to get to the point where he can be more aggressive. Look at that creep spread. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's glorious. It's glorious, but it's lackluster right here. It's lackluster, and this base is totally wide out in the open right now. And MrHase has to be super aggressive at positioning his units because he can't support his base otherwise. He has to be out on the field. Another big engagement, but again, that stutter step micro, MrHase just cannot directly engage this stemmed out army from Forsaken, and he's just going to stutter step away, and every one of his volleys kills pretty much an Ultralisk flat out. So he has to be super careful. And by he, I mean Mr. because while MrHase does want to be aggressive at defending his expansions, he cannot afford to be aggressive with his positioning of his units, because the second he steps off of creep, all of a sudden Forsaken has a massive engagement advantage. So this has got to be super frustrating for MrHase. I know I'm enjoying it a great deal, and I haven't seen this composition before. I mean, this could be the legacy of the Void thing, because they're nerfing the They're nerfing the swarm host so much. Oh, does he know something I don't know? A drop. Okay, yeah, great. A small little drop here, but he's found the small little opening. Hey, I was actually mentioning that this is a place where they will normally position kind of a single overlord just to deal with those drops, because this area is usually kind of overlooked. And so Forsaken did see that. Another engagement coming in here, trying to get out that snipe on the hatchery, but MrHase being very, very aggressive at positioning his units, but not aggressive with his creep spread anymore. I guess those queens have just fallen on the wayside, and again, the micro necessary to keep up this engagement. And oh my goodness, what an engagement it is! Forsaken kind of forgetting to do the stutter step micro and focusing more on the splitting and forcing MrHase to actually engage in them. I think Forsaken is aware of the fact that he can afford to, not be super cost effective anymore. What he needs to do is start whittling down MrHase's army, forcing him to constantly rebuild these gas extensive units. They're so expensive. They're so expensive. I don't even know how much an Ultralisk costs in gas. It's like 2 something. It's big. It's a big number. And it looks like MrHase is not doing a very good job of maintaining his bank. He was at 7k minerals just a couple of minutes ago. But you know what? Forsaken is actually falling on the wayside too, but it's because he's producing so many mineral intensive units, so expensive, so many marines, and frankly, they die very quickly. The banelings and the Ultralisks that MrHase has out on the field, very, very cost effective. And now that we have just a couple of seconds, maybe they'll shut up for just a couple more seconds so I can talk about Legacy of the Void with the Swarm Host nerf. This is exactly the meta that I've been dreaming about, where hey, Ultralisks might be viable again. You see the upgrade path. Either you're doing range attack and you're getting roaches and hydras, or you're doing melee attack and you rely on zerglings and banelings a little bit longer, but you ultimately get out those Ultralisks. What a trade-off. What a great idea. I like it a lot, and I was literally just thinking about that. I'm so glad that this replay has it, because I think that this could be really cool. I think the Ultralisks need a little bit more, maybe creep needs to be a faster spreading, or give them back their charge, or something to make them a little bit more viable, because right now they're just too slow to get on top of these fast and wily Terran armies. But in order to replace the swarm hosts, I think that's exactly what needs to happen. Is you need to actually be able to deal with that single Ultralisk trundling forward, but with this massive amount of marauders, he's not going to be able to take them out. In fact, the stutter step micro taking down that hatchery, the entire force does arrive to take out the handful of marauders, but unfortunately they arrive too late to save the hatchery. The hatchery is being forced to be remade right now. Let's check out that economy. 62 over 72, so a far cry from the 90, but oh no, MrHase on the offensive now, pushing it with those Ultralisks. The Ultralisks do a fantastic job of absorbing all those Widowmine hits. However, they do a terrible job. Oh, what a great fungal growth. Absolutely fantastic. And now the Ultralisks have the opportunity to push in, get on top of this army, and this is the engagement that MrHase was looking for. Unfortunately, I think it came too little too late. Oh, but maybe not. I mean, he's going to be able to remax very quickly. 13 Ultralisks on the production tab. Holy crap. Okay, so Forsaken needs to push in, take out at least a hatchery, and as far as counter aggression goes, doing a great job of taking out all those drones, but that's okay because MrHase can afford to lose a handful of drones. Being supply blocked definitely hurts him because he's got the money to create more zerglings, to create more banelings. Doesn't have the supply to do it, needs the opportunity to do it. 13 Ultralisks on the production field right now. 2 of them are probably going to pop out of these tiny, tiny eggs in just a couple of seconds, and that's going to suck for the Widowmine that's kind of standing over there. But Forsaken, even though MrHase is starved for gas, Forsaken's becoming starved for minerals, and that's because this gold expansion has been, taking so much damage, so much heat from MrHase. Ultralisk does go down from some nice unit control from Forsaken, but this base has been denied. This base has totally been denied, and we're beginning to get mined out on gas. The main is gone, probably the natural, maybe the third too. Yeah, third too. Oh my goodness. Oh my Lanta. 400 minerals. Final hurrah. So many Ultralisks being pushed in, but really no support units to speak of. Most of the infestors did go down from that last engagement, and there's just really not a lot of banelings. So yeah, probably this planetary fortress is going to go down, but without the ability to follow this up, I mean, look at the production tab, totally empty right now. MrHase is forced to retreat, and I think the Forsaken is going to be able to actually push in and start doing more damage to the economy, because with only 2 bases mining right now, and yeah, one of them's a gold base, but the other one's almost completely mined out. If MrHase loses a single more base, he's totally out of this game. Totally out of this game. But Forsaken's running home. Forsaken's going home, and yeah, I mean, I don't agree. I think he can afford to be more aggressive, but maybe he just needs to take a second, rebuild his army. More corruptors in the field. Definitely, probably doing a good job of taking down these these medevacs. Only 3 medevacs now on the field. He's probably lost a lot over the whole game. Probably 7, maybe 8 of them in total. Nice little widow mine shot, but really just doing piss poor damage to those ultras. They have such a massive bank of HP that they can just absorb all of those widow mine shots. 50 gas. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so terrible. So terrible. 65 harvesters out on the field. Only 1 base really to mine from, because the other one's almost completely mined out. Very oversaturated. This is really just a slow and painful death for MrHase. Oh, a nice little run by, but unfortunately, even with the Adrenal Gland upgrade, those Zerglings not going to be able to do much to that planetary fortress with what its robust army and armor. Instead, those Zerglings do a good job of distracting Forsaken just for a couple of seconds, but really he's just waiting to remax, to push in, because he knows that MrHase is not... He's not going to be alive for much longer. Forsaken did a good job of dividing the map up in halves, and he's just now taking his expansion over here, the gold expansion in the top right-hand side, and that's great. That is absolutely fantastic, because that's going to keep his economy alive for just a little bit longer. And then the very hotly contested gold one, as long as he can prevent the Zerg units from taking that, then Forsaken's going to be in the lead economically speaking, because again, the units lost tab. I mean, look at that resources lost. Holy crap. That's like 10,000 minerals in the favor of Forsaken. So very, very cost effective, and it's really come down to that stutter step micro. I mean, the Baneling hits were fantastic, the fungal growths were fantastic, but Forsaken being able to disengage and stutter step around these Ultralisks, and that's strictly because he's kept the creep spread in check. If any of those engagements had happened on creep, then this game would have been radically different. Forsaken definitely would have been crushed, but just because he wouldn't have been able to stutter step away. The fungal growths would have been able to land right on top of the death ball. The Ultras could have gotten a couple of lucky hits off. The Banelings could have closed. And I cannot talk enough about that early game aggression with those Hellions, that early kind of lackluster attack with those Marines and Marauders, but it was because at that 11-minute timing, he knows that if he doesn't keep the creep spread under control, everything can rapidly spiral out of control. This base is totally going to go down. However, from the south side, Forsaken swings in, really nice splits, forcing the concave just engagement in the favor of Forsaken. Look at that. Oh, wow, that's sexy. And then as soon as the fungal growths are done, expelled, a handful of Marauders chase down the Ultralisks, and I cannot see MrHase staying in this game for very much longer. I mean, he hasn't been aggressive for very, very long. He's not being counter-aggressive. He's not, harassing with Mutalisks or anything like that. And frankly, he doesn't have the bank for that at all. This is so depressing for MrHase, because he teched very, very quickly to tech 3. He did everything right. He did such a good job of being right. But Forsaken was just a little bit better, just a little bit more aggressive at keeping the creep spread in his favor. And it's such a small thing. It's so small. Just creep spread. But it opened the door for Forsaken to excel with the stutter step. It opened the door for him to keep MrHase contained on just 3 or 4 bases. It's such a tiny thing that had such massive repercussions. Absolutely fantastic. You know what else is fantastic? People who watch my videos. So thank you for that. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary.